It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso. You're live in S3 and we're back to chat all things fatherhood. We're now joined by Terence mentor, who is also known as, wait for it, AfroDaddy.
I wonder why.
I have no idea. I think it's because, Afrocentric approaches to life. I don't know. But anyway, he is super popular on social media platforms as he talks about parenting, shows a lot of authenticity and vulnerability and all of that, which is fantastic and a great resource for anybody who is a dad. Let's welcome the father of two, of Liam and Eli. He'll be taking us through the journey of fatherhood, touching on the family dynamics of his blended family. Terence, it's so good to see you again.
How are you, buddy?
Very well, and yourself?
Oh, good, man. Afro looks good.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I grew it myself, so,
You're very proud. You are a very proud dad, and I love it because we generally connect over dad talks.
Yeah.
And things about, like, vulnerability and all these things we never get to really talk about as gents. So I appreciate the fact that you've opened that line of communication. When we talk about your blended family, you've had an incredible journey to get to the point where you're at. So I can understand why you feel the need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people going out there going through similar things who don't have a sounding board, especially men. But let's start at the heart of your daddy journey, and let's talk about Liam, your first son you adopted in 2014. Did you know, or how did you know you were ready to be a dad?
I don't think anyone in the history of time has ever known that they were ready to be a dad. You may have thought you were ready, but you actually weren't ready.
Then life will humble you.
Yes,
proper,
very quickly. Yeah. You realize that you weren't ready. I didn't know. All I realized is that we had this wonderful little boy in our home who I adored and loved and wanted to adore and love for the rest of my life. And so that's how we started the process. I definitely didn't feel ready. I felt all the anxiety. I distinctly remember when we found out that we were going to adopt him, being very excited and then driving home and having a complete panic attack on the highway to the point where I had to pull off and catch my breath, really understand what's going on. And that doesn't really go away because every time they get into a new phase, you realize that
Terence,
it's hectic.
Yeah, man. We have those deep breaths every day, yeah.
And you have this blended family, which is beautiful. And I mean, we live in South Africa, and there are so many great cultures and so many great social dynamics that happen and put these families together. And then Eli comes along.
Yeah.
So Liam's there, Eli comes along, you and your wife have Eli, and now you have to manage this Liam, now an only child, now being part of a family. Mm-hmm. Then there's also the dynamic of Liam being adopted that you have to take into account. How did you manage and navigate that scenario, making sure everybody felt like they were part of the same clique?
So I think we really emphasize that everyone is special in their own way. And in our family, we all look different. So if you saw the four of us walking down the street, I don't think you would really know that we were in the same family necessarily. But we all look different. We all have different skin, different hair, different eyes, and it's all beautiful and it's all good in its own special way.
Yes.
So it's a lot of emphasis on, just because your hair requires this kind of comb versus this kind of comb, it's all good.
How often is hair the narrative? How often is hair the vehicle you use to explain life?
About 3 times a day.
Yes! Yes!
Oh, my daughter's a little ginger, so I get you, man. I understand it.
That is a whole other one. I don't know that.
Buddy, you've written about the 4 benefits for being a dad. For those who haven't heard them, what are, in your mind, the 4 pillars, the 4 biggest bonuses of being a papa bear?
So I think the first one is that fatherhood really forces you to look at yourself.
Yeah.
You really have to work on yourself first if you want to be the best dad possible. I think that's the first one. I think having a person who just adores you all the time, well, not all the time, but a lot of the time, having someone who adores you. I think having the opportunity to be a better person, to work through that. And, studies do show that fathers make better employees generally because you have bigger things to work for, right?
Yeah.
You're not just working for yourself anymore. You have to work for this person right now, but also this person's future and potentially their children's children. So you're working for a legacy, which means that you're more likely to show up and work on time and work a little bit harder because you have all of these other physical mouths to feed and futures to work towards.
Look, it's been about 30 seconds. Can we all do the breath?
Yeah.
Okay, no, we're
Yes.
fine. We're there.
Now, let's talk about raising kids as well, because that is something that no one gives you the pamphlet for when you have the kids. They don't
You
say,
didn't,
right.
you didn't get that?
No, I didn't get the
Oh,
pamphlet.
I'm
what?
so sorry.
Was
It's
there a pamphlet?
it's the postal system. I'm
It's
sorry.
really bad. You'll get it in about 5 years, probably.
I thought I had to do my own. Anyway, on a series that morals, values, instilling that, it's largely observed behavior, isn't it? So how do you impart that onto these two incredible kids of yours?
Well, like you say, it's very much observed,
Yeah.
and you need to set yourself up correctly first.
Yes.
So that you can say something like, hey, do you ever hear mom and dad use those words?
Yeah.
No, we don't talk like that in our family. We don't hit. Does mom and dad hit you? No, we don't hit each other. We don't hit you. We don't. So therefore, you shouldn't hit your little brother, for instance.
Yeah.
That's the best way you can teach morals. It's so much easier to tell your child, look at my behavior. That's what I want you to model and better.
Yeah.
Than to say, yes, dad does that, but you shouldn't be allowed to do that. How do you explain, well, daddy does X, but you aren't allowed to do that? That's a very complicated conversation. It's just so much easier just to be better yourself first.
Yeah, it really does force you. It governs you in every sense and space in the world, but it's a beautiful thing. I'm going to ask you this very quickly. What is the thing you say to yourself every day? Is there a mantra? Is there when times are tough, when you're feeling weak, in those crunch moments, what do you say to yourself?
I say to myself, you do not have to be perfect. You just have to show up as best as you can.
All right, I love that. We're going to show up today. The dads are showing up
Yes.
today. We love this guy. You can go and find him on social media. We have got all of his details, along with all of the amazing guests that have been on our panel this morning. So thank you to the amazing dads who are doing this every day. You just got to show up. So let's see if we got some more dads showing up on our WhatsApp line.